You ever get to the end of the day and think, what did I even do all day? Like, I was busy, but
Oh, totally. I think we've all been there, right?
eh,
Especially these days.
exactly. So much going on, so many distractions, which is why today we're diving into Cal Newport's deep work.
Rules for focused success in a distracted world, yeah.
That title alone, hits home, doesn't it?
It's so true, though, and this book's been getting a lot of buzz, actually.
Oh, yeah, even Jonathan Haidt, the guy who's written all that stuff about
And
smartphones.
the attention crisis.
Yeah, he actually recommends deep work as like an antidote. He says it's crucial for reclaiming our focus.
Makes sense. So for this deep dive, we wanted to go beyond just one person's take.
Right, because everyone's got their own interpretation.
Exactly. So we actually got a bunch of AI agents involved. DeepSeek, Grok, ChatGPT, even Perplexity and Claude.
So, like, a team of super smart robots read the book for us,
Basically, they each did summaries and gave us their critical reviews.
which is kind of mind blowing in itself, but okay. So, what's the goal here?
To get a really well-rounded view, see why this deep work thing is so important right now.
And most importantly, how can we actually use it in our lives?
That's the key takeaway.
Before we get into that, though, gotta give a shout out. This whole exploration is from Kintsugi.
Part of Project Plain Talk.
For anyone new to the show, okay, so structure-wise, we're gonna start with the why. Like, why does deep work even matter?
Then we'll dig into Newport's rules, the how-to stuff.
And lastly, we'll look at what the AI thought, the good and the bad, about the book itself.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, so first up, what exactly is deep work, according to Newport?
So in a nutshell, it's about doing your work, whatever that is, with absolutely zero distractions.
Sounds impossible already.
It's tough, but
Wh-
that's the ideal. And it's about pushing your brain to its limits, really concentrating.
The opposite of like multitasking and checking your phone every 5 seconds.
Exactly. He contrasts it with what he calls shallow work. The stuff that's easy to replicate doesn't need tons of focus, like answering emails, attending routine meetings.
Okay, so basically the stuff most of us spend our days doing.
Sadly, yeah. But Newport argues that deep work, that intense focus, is becoming more and more valuable.
Especially now when everyone's attention is so fragmented.
He thinks there are three groups of people who are going to thrive in the future.
Hit me with them.
First, people with highly specialized skills, like the ones who can master really difficult things.
Okay, makes sense. In a competitive world, you gotta have something unique to offer.
Then there's what he calls the superstars. They're the ones who use tech to have a really broad impact.
They're like influencers, entrepreneurs, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And the third group is the owners, the people who are actually building and investing in new tech.
So basically the people shaping the future.
Right. And what's interesting is that Newport says deep work is essential for all three of these groups.
So it's not just about being good at one specific thing. It's about being able to learn, adapt, and create new things.
That's the core idea. Because deep work is how you develop those valuable skills, how you produce work that stands out.
Okay, that all makes sense. But if deep work is so great, why is it becoming so rare?
The AI pointed to a few reasons. First, there's what Newport calls the metric black hole.
Sounds ominous.
It basically means that deep work can be hard to measure. Like, its impact isn't always immediately obvious.
So companies and bosses tend to focus on the things they can easily measure.
Right, things like how many emails you send, how many meetings you attend, even if that's not really the most important work.
It's like that saying, what gets measured gets managed.
Exactly. Then there's this whole cult of the internet thing that Newport talks about.
Meaning,
It's this idea that everything online is good, that being connected all the time is essential.
which obviously leads to a lot of distraction.
And then there's the simple fact that a lot of us have just developed bad habits.
We're addicted to the quick hits of shallow work, the constant dopamine rush of notifications.
It's like we've trained our brains to be distracted. But here's the thing, the AI also picked up on some really interesting benefits of deep work.
Beyond just career success.
Right, there's a psychological angle, a neurological angle, even a philosophical one.
Okay, break it down for me.
So psychologically, deep work helps you get into a state of flow.
I've heard of that. It's like being completely absorbed in what you're doing. Right?
Yeah, you're totally immersed in the task, you lose track of time. And studies show that flow is strongly linked to happiness and life satisfaction.
That makes sense. When you're truly engaged in something, it's just satisfying.
And neurologically, focusing intensely actually strengthens your brain.
Like literally builds new pathways.
Yep, it improves your memory, your focus, your ability to solve problems.
So it's not just about getting stuff done, it's about making your brain work better in the long run.
And then philosophically, deep work is connected to this idea of craftsmanship.
Like taking pride in your work, creating something meaningful.
Exactly. It's about aligning yourself with a higher purpose, not just chasing the next distraction.
That's a pretty powerful combination. Feeling good, improving your brain, and finding meaning in what you do.
And, it's not just a modern concept. The AI summaries actually brought up some historical figures who embraced deep work.
Oh, like who?
Well, there's Carl Jung, the famous psychologist. He used to retreat to his tower for long periods of time,
To do what?
to write, to reflect, to just think deeply without any interruptions,
Like a self-imposed writer's retreat.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then there's Bill Gates. He's famous for his think wakes.
Where he just disappeared.
Yeah, he'd isolate himself for a whole week just to read, think, and strategize about the future of Microsoft.
So these guys, at the top of their fields, they understood the power of disconnecting and focusing.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another interesting concept that came up, attention residue.
Attention residue, what's that?
It's the idea that when you switch between tasks, even for a short time, your brain doesn't immediately follow.
Like part of your attention is still stuck on the previous thing.
Exactly. So even quick distractions like checking your phone or email leave a kind of cognitive residue.
Which makes it harder to focus on the next task.
Right. So those little distractions add up and make it much harder to do deep work.
That's kind of scary, actually. Okay, so we've covered the why. Deep work is valuable, it's rare, and it has all these amazing benefits. But how do we actually do it?
That's where Newport's rules come in. The first one is work deeply.
Seems pretty straightforward.
But it's about more than just sitting down and trying to focus. It's about being intentional, creating the right conditions.
So what's involved?
Well, first, you need to actually schedule time for deep work. Block it out in your calendar, treat it like an important meeting.
Easier said than done for a lot of people, though.
I know, right? But Newport understands that everyone's life is different. So he suggests 4 different depth philosophies.
Philosophies, like different ways of approaching deep work.
Exactly. There's the monastic approach, the bimodal approach, the rhythmic approach, and the journalistic approach.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me the rundown.
So the monastic philosophy is like the most extreme. It's about eliminating all shallow obligations.
So like going off the grid to write a novel.
Something like that. It's great for people who need intense, uninterrupted focus, but it's not practical for everyone.
Definitely not. What about bimodal?
Bimodal is about alternating between long stretches of deep work and periods of regular work.
So like going on a writing retreat for a week, then coming back to your normal life?
Exactly. Then there's rhythmic, which is about establishing a regular routine.
Like blocking out an hour every morning for focused work.
Yep. It's great for building a sustainable habit. And finally, there's journalistic.
Journalistic.
It's about fitting deep work in whenever you can, like a journalist on a tight deadline.
Sounds chaotic.
It can be, but it's also the most flexible approach.
So the idea is to choose the philosophy that works best for your life and your work style.
Exactly. But it's not just about choosing a philosophy. Newport also talks about the importance of ritualizing your deep work,
Ritualizing.
like creating a specific set of conditions that signal to your brain it's time to focus.
Oh, I get it. So like always working in the same spot at the same time with the same music playing.
Exactly. You might even have rules like no internet, no phone. It's about eliminating all those potential distractions.
Makes sense. And Perplexity, one of the AI agents, made an interesting connection here to something called the 4 disciplines of execution.
Oh yeah, the 40X framework.
It's basically about focusing on your most important goals, tracking your progress, and holding yourself accountable.
And it applies perfectly to deep work. You have to treat it like any other important goal, with clear strategies and metrics.
So we've got our dedicated time, our chosen philosophy, and our rituals. What's the next rule?
Rule number 2 is embrace boredom.
Embrace boredom. That sounds a little counterintuitive.
Right. In our world of constant stimulation, boredom is like the enemy.
We're always trying to fill every spare moment with something.
But Newport says that concentration is a skill. And like any skill, it needs to be trained.
So how do we embrace boredom?
By resisting those urges to constantly check our phones, to scroll through social media, to distract ourselves.
Well, what do we do instead? Just sit there and stare at the wall.